Welcome to My Worst Memory, a workplace safe space podcast. I'm your host, Robin Cohen, founder of Happier Office and operations expert. Each week I sit down with some of the best in the business to talk about some of their worst memories. Together we'll explore corporate culture, techniques to be a better leader, and jargon that makes our heads spin. With that in mind, let's take it offline with today's guest, Jevic Muteba. Hey Jevic, how are you?
Hey Robin, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Jevic is the Director of Partnerships for a global platform, and he works with companies to help them achieve their hiring goals and support their DE&I initiatives. In addition to leading partnerships, Jevic is a consultant, leadership member of ATL 243, and founder of Pass the Baton, Not the Patron, a podcast dedicated to reshaping the conversation around workplace success with a focus on more balanced representation. And in case you're wondering, you can find those on Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Google, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Before leading partnerships, Jevic, you came up through sales in greater Boston tech scene, but when people think tech, they're probably thinking SaaS, but you went old school. You were actually doing sales even at Radio Shack back in the day when they still existed.
I think there's a couple of them still around,
Yes. But from there, of course, you bopped into B2B, B2C. You worked for bigger tech moguls like Wayfair, some smaller companies as well, and have since hopped around in the consultant space. And I'm curious, given the transactional and revenue-focused area of sales, how do you go about building an authentic connection with prospects that you may not have any relationship with?
Yeah. Great question. I think number one, it always teaches to my team, whatever brand or organization I represent, you're representing you first, right? So I tell companies, it's I don't care about your company, don't care about that company, I care about Jevic the brand. And that's how I kind of go about it firstly. And then I always treat it like the old school thought is how do I want to be treated when I'm buying something, right? And especially nowadays, there's so much access to internet reviews, everything like that. When someone actually approaches you or about your service, about your product, they're going to know a lot already. And you're just there to guide them and consult them. But I think the service that I provide, even if they don't sell, is hey, I had a great experience with Jevic. Wasn't a fit this product or this service, but hey, I just liked how he really treated me. That's just how I approach things.
You've been in so many different corporate settings, consulting for different businesses as well. I'm sure you've come across a lot of corporate jargon. Which one stands out to you?
One that I didn't know about. It was in 2020 working for this organization. I was the highest ranking sales professional and the only Black professional in the organization. And I actually reported to the VP of Finance, which is the first time exactly. Head scratch.
Okay.
Interesting, for sure. So I'm the highest person in sales there, right? So I'm coming in, I'm teaching them some things that I thought was really basic. And one of the reps told me, Jevic, our team is very green. For me, green is good. Green is money.
Oh,
that's I always thought green, and in basketball, green, you got the green light, go, shoot. Green's always been a good thing for me. And
you're great. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. They're no, Jevic, green, you got to teach us we've never sold before in our life. And I was oh, okay. Why didn't you just say that? I said I don't love that term.
I feel all of these phrases, it almost is someone made up something and then just said it enough times that it became
a thing.
Yes. When people are let's circle back, let's take it offline. I'm can you just say I'll talk to you later about it? I'll call you next week.
I love that. Let's take it offline and we don't meet offline. We just don't even. Cool, bet. Just tell me you didn't want to talk about it.
You're great. I didn't want to discuss this either. Okay, cool. Oh, Jevic, I have to ask, what is your worst memory?
I was at this organization pretty big while still living in Boston. So I'm new and I didn't experience it there, but there was this infamous pizza party at the organization that they were doing massive layoffs, and there was two different rooms. One room, people who went into that room got pizza and they were just fed about new updates and the reduction of force. And the other room, no pizza, and people were all laid off. Right.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And then,
I thought you were going to say it was an office party and everyone had pizza. No. It was a great time.
But no, it's people still talk about it to this day. I was on the phone, shout out to my girl Joy, and she's hey, remember the pizza party situation? It's a thing well known in that organization, even years later and after. Even though I wasn't there, I heard about it, right? And then I think now too, I'm seeing over LinkedIn folks that have been at an organization for a year, 5 years, 10 years, and like those automated emails like, hey, you're not working here no more. I haven't
Yeah, those are
experienced that
bad.
before, but like that's just cringe.
Wait, what's worse though? Is it worse to get an email from a robot or to think you're getting pizza and then find out you're losing your job?
I would go the robot because I was like, at least the pizza factory, like, yes, I didn't get pizza, but at least like,
Wait, not only did I not get pizza, I'm also losing my job, but really I'm upset about the pizza.
but at least it was like in person, right? So it's like at
Okay,
least
yeah,
like
yeah.
humans connection in person, and at least you were with other people too as well, because that's such an emotional factor,
Yeah.
right? At least we still have a community, we can help each other in a new process versus
Wait,
that email. Yep.
okay, go back. Walk me through this. So people were all working at this company, and what happened? They got an email or a call or something saying we're having a pizza party?
I don't know how it came about, but I
Yeah.
believe kind of something like, hey, like pizza party, we hit our goal, whatever, Q3,
Okay.
Q4. And then, yeah, some people got a pizza party and some people were laid off.
But like, I cannot imagine. So you walk into one room, they're like, oh, we'll meet you in XYZ conference room. You go to ABC. Do the people in XYZ conference room know that there's the ABC conference room
Yeah.
happening?
People didn't know, and some people went to the wrong room. Yeah.
They went to the wrong room, like they were invited to the wrong room?
No,
Or they didn't know?
no, because you got to think it's like it's a big organization, right? And like
Yeah.
headquartered in Boston, like there had to be in Boston alone, like over 1,000 employees.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're seeing people move this way, this way. It's something about taking the T, right? Sometimes you're not even thinking where you're going; you're just following the crowd. Like,
You're
hey,
following your
yeah,
friend or whatever.
exactly. We're getting off on State Street, downtown Crossing. I'm just like following the crowd. I think some people just like follow the crowd into the wrong room.
And the person running the meeting probably didn't know the people if the
Yeah, it's too
organization's
many. Yeah,
that big.
it's that big. You can't know the people like
And
that.
they're not like taking attendance. That'd be super weird. Oh my gosh. Which room would you want to be in? Because if you're in the wrong room, I guess you'd rather have your job.
Yeah. Oh, but then honestly, then the survivor remorse comes in too as well, right? Like, let's
Right.
think about that. I'm in a room, everyone got laid off, but I still have the job. Now I'm feeling guilty. To
But
be
how do you
honest,
know you're in the wrong room? Did
I
they
think
list everybody?
I think after people got email, I mean your credentials don't work, right? Or they put a box and everything. But
Yeah.
to be honest, where I am right now in my career, I'd rather be in the room that I'm getting the pizza and I got laid off. To be completely honest, because I'm so
That's what I
confident.
think.
Because I'm so confident in myself. Like I know my worth and I know my value. I'm gonna find a job. Then like, hey, I'm in a room of space with everyone that still has a job. It's like, hey, have you ever thought about joining our department or this and that? Like I can make connections
Yes.
right there versus I'm in the room, everyone got laid off. Yes, I still have a job. There's just so much impact when you lose teammates and friends. And it's so an emotional lift and it's just a lot going
Yeah.
on. So yeah, I would rather lose my job. I'll find something else. I'm very confident that like I'll find something else. And I got pizza.
Well, that's the thing. At least give the people getting the bad news the pizza. The good news people don't need pizza. They just need the good news they have a job.
Yeah, that's such an emotional thing. You build these bonds with these people.
Hard.
Now it's a little different with working remote.
Yeah.
You're in work from people say 9 to 5. It's not 9 to 5. Like you're getting up an hour
No.
earlier. You're probably staying an
Yeah.
hour late. That's 8 to 6, 8 to 7. You're not getting home to 7 o'clock. Like you're with these people more than your family. So it's like it's a big deal.
Nothing is good about a layoff, right? It's not good to be on either side of it, but it's the immediate disconnect from this community that you've built. If you're in person, at least maybe you could say bye. I'm thinking if this was 10, 20 years ago, if you hadn't exchanged phone numbers, you weren't maybe going to be able to talk to that person anymore,
You might
right?
never see them again.
You might never see them again. So you go from this awful message of, hey, you got laid off, to then go back to your desk, nothing works, clear out your stuff. And by the way, your friend's not in the office today or they're in a meeting, so they don't even know what's happening, and good luck. It's awful. And I think when you have this like survivor guilt that you talked about, how do you keep your team motivated after a layoff? How do you manage that so that you can still be able to like contribute and not be the next on the chopping block?
Yeah, I think number one as a leader, I've been through these situations. I've always been one to just keep it above with my team. I was like, hey, this sucks. Straight
Yeah.
up. I like this
Same.
person. Some things are out of my control to do. We have to move on. But like, hey, it's okay for today. If you're not ready to work today, go. I'm fine with that. Y'all need a drink, need a coffee, need a workout, need a cry. Like, it's fine. We can have our team huddle. Ask me any question. I'm going to answer it of the best I can do.
Yeah.
But if not, like if you're not ready to work today, go. Like honestly, it would be weird if you are okay right now. Like, 10%,
Yeah.
20% of the team left. I would look at you a little strange if you were okay. Those are people I'm more concerned about. It's like, hey, this person is just like hasn't said anything to me. They're
Yeah.
just going about it the same way. Those are the flight risks to me. The people that aren't talking, they're just going about it because I was like, oh, they're just faking the funk. And I was like, hey, I gotta like get to the real emotional part of them, like what's really going on. It takes time as a manager, as a leader, to build those type of relationships, right? And it takes you
Yes.
being vulnerable too as well.
Totally. And some people you're just never gonna crack,
Facts.
right? They have a
Facts.
wall, and that is fine. And it
That's
doesn't
it.
mean they're a sociopath. It just means that they don't want to share at work. But yeah, it would be really challenging if half your team gets laid off and you're the survivor to then sit there and not have some sort of response in the moment. Yeah, that's rough.
And I experience it on the other end, right? Being an incident
Yeah.
contributor, and then you feel a director just saying like, all right, well, this person not here. Any questions? Come on, you really don't want any questions. The way you're phrasing
No.
is.
And you can tell as a direct report or as a fellow leadership team member, like who's really there and giving you a genuine offer versus the people who are just saying it because they have to say it to check the box. Right. And I think it goes a long way when you're managing a team to ideally have already had time to build those relationships before you have to have that awkward conversation. But I'm sure folks who work for you know, like, okay, Javic's here. He's got my back. I can actually come to him, whether it's now or in my one-on-one, and say, hey, can we talk about it? Am I at risk? Whatever the concerns are.
Absolutely. When I first take over a team, I always tell this story of how I had to let go an employee. It was like, hey, this employee is really good. I was out of my hands. Had to fire him. But I say, guys, I might be your boss, but I'm not. No, I'm not at sea level. There's only so much
Yeah.
I can do. But I always tell a story like, hey, how to fire this person. But they were my first hire. The next place I went to. They're my first
Oh,
call. It's like, hey,
interesting.
I'm building out this team. You're the first person on my list. Because I always say too as well, like this organization brought us together, but my relationships go way beyond like me and you, way
Yes.
beyond invaluable. Like
Yeah.
yes, valuable, dope, brought us together, but like screw that company in all regards. Like I care about you as an individual, Robin, more than the company. I think that is a great organization. That I didn't want to say, but like but I would
I
say
was like,
like,
oh, tell us how you really
no,
feel.
no. I think a great org, but I would say I care more
Yeah.
about the individuals than the actual company. That's just how I am, and just how I are.
Totally. Well, I'm curious. So you're in that position as a leader, right? Where you had to let someone go. We talked about the ways that you can exit someone that feels better or worse. Do you have a playbook for how you exit someone well or how you determine, who is going to make that cut if you have to make a call?
Yeah, I wouldn't say an exact playbook, but I would say everyone that's had X in my team, they knew. It was never a surprise. I keep it really a buck. Hey, if this doesn't change, you're gonna be gone. So what are we gonna
So
do?
it's not a surprise then.
Yeah, so it's not a surprise. So that's number one for me. I never wanted to be a surprise. And then number two, have that conversation. It's like, hey, can we fix this? Like, can you coach that person up, or do you have to coach them out? And then I have the conversation with that person, that individual. It's like, hey, do you think we can hit these numbers? If not, we got to think of a backup plan. But in the meantime, just work hard for me. I'm going to work hard for you. Like that's always I say for the team. This one individual, I was super happy that had to exit the team, but he didn't exit the company. I felt like I was speaking to other hiring managers. Hey, he's really good, not fitting here right now, but I can vouch for him. And I moved him over to a different team with another organization. I think that's one
That's
huge
nice.
thing that I love about bigger organizations, that you can do that versus small organizations like, hey, you really can't go anywhere. But when a company's over like 10,000, there's enough people in Legway. And that person worked hard for me. So I was just, hey, like, it's just like not working. These numbers are unrealistic. Just keep on having a positive attitude. Keep on showing up on time. I'm going to help you out.
Yeah.
So I was super happy I texted that person like that way.
Well, and that says a lot about you as a leader, right? It's not just, hey, you didn't hit your numbers or you didn't meet this goal, you're out. It's, hey, you didn't hit your numbers and meet this goal. I think your skill set would be better served in this area. Let me help make that connection for you, because it's so much easier for the managers to have that conversation, right? Versus that individual to have to like spin their story and try to make a sell for why it's not weird that they're leaving.
Spin the story. Now, I love that you said that. And then I look at it high level too. As an organization, this person already knows the company. Might not be great at this role, but how expensive it is, like, to like interview someone, them getting hit to like the culture, and just becoming part of the company versus, all right, we're just going to move them around. That helps the organization too as well. That saves us so much dollars interviewing people, this and that. We already know them. They're just not good here. We're
Right.
just going to move these skill sets to another team.
Yeah, and chances are, if you're referring them to another team, it's likely that they had to build a relationship with your team at some point, right? Like sales had to build a relationship with marketing, marketing with product, whoever. And so I think to me, the thing that's more expensive than onboarding someone is actually the time. And the hiring is expensive, of course, especially at the executive level. But the time it takes to move someone and have them build the relationships again, that could be 6 months before someone even trusts you to work with them, right?
Exactly.
Or you can actually depend and pull a Hail Mary together and do what you need to do. So to be able to save all of that legwork is so critical.
Yeah, huge win. And I think that's something people don't teach, to be honest. That's what one organization taught me really well. They're like, hey, should you coach up or coach out? And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's it.
I like that.
Coach up, coach out. But there's different outs. Out doesn't mean out forever. Like, there's different ways to get them out.
How do you know when it's time? Okay, I'm going to coach you up or coach you out. Is it, okay, we're giving it X amount of time, you're on a PIP. If it doesn't happen by this date, it's really clear? Or are there any more intangible moments that
Yeah,
help you decide?
there's you got to put something quantitative like in there and we're like real numbers. But honestly, it's a feel. You can feel it. Like, hey, your energy feels a little different. Our old CEO always said it. I think people thought he was being a jerk about it, but if you're not happy, I don't want you being here. Because like it affects the whole team, right? It becomes cancerous. And like even for me, when it's time for me, like people know like my energy, especially how it is like something's off. Like it's very clear.
Yeah.
I really pride that emotional intelligence, especially right now, and since COVID and everything going on in the world. As a leader, you have to be really EQ. That is extremely important.
Yeah.
Just knowing your team there and just sensing if things are off. Because even if the numbers are good, vibes are a little off.
Yeah, and ultimately, like you said, we spend so much, right, 70-80% of our lives with our coworkers. It's not that everyone has to be best friends. That can be nice when you want to spend time together and do things, but ultimately having folks who want to be there and want to show up for the same mission and goals can make everyone's work life so much easier.
Much easier. Easier, more enjoyable, just everything.
It's interesting what you said, if you're not happy, I don't want you here. I've heard that before a lot of times too. And where I struggle with that is that happiness to me is not always a function of your work, right? It's a big part of it, but ultimately, what if someone has some stuff going on in their personal life? What if maybe they just run on the lower scale of emotional range, So when you think about creating this diversity within your staff, we've talked a lot about diversity of thought, right? Not just diversity of what people look like, what they care about, but the ways they think and process. And to me, I almost wonder if having a pessimist on the team or a devil's advocate can be an advantage depending on the org. So I'm curious, how do you go about creating that diversity of thought without having everyone have to be diverse in the sense that like we're all checking a different box on the spreadsheet,
No, absolutely, right. And I've managed teams like as big as like 13. I like the number 10, not to manage, but just to use, right? So out of 10, especially in sales, you're going to have 2 superstars. They're going to kill it for you, right? You're going to have your Kobe and Shaq. Then you have, your B plus players. And then a lot of people are just average. Like on your team, a lot of people are just at 80 to 100%. I think as a leader, you should know, like, not everyone's going to be an A plus player. Not everyone's going to be a B plus. Like, majority of your team is going to be average. So then as a leader, you're going to see like, all right, can I push this person anymore, or they're good right here? Maybe they're better actually as a leader than an actual individual. I think people make that mistake. That person 130, 140% of their goal, they might not necessarily be actually a good leader. That C plus person is actually probably a better leader too, right?
Yes. Yes. Being good at your job does not mean you're a good manager.
A lot of organizations, how they do it is like for you to make more money, you have to be a manager, be a leader.
More opportunity to succeed as an IC with maybe bonuses or incentives.
Exactly. Bonuses, incentives, it's not even that, it's more access, right? Because I think that's the biggest thing that's being a leader. Like, hey, more access to a VP, more access to a C-level, right? So it's like more access to those folks and more access to those conversations that are happening. Like, yes, bonuses and commission, absolutely, but being part of those conversations about like where the product and where the organization's going is huge, right?
Yeah.
It's tremendous. Now you're in front of VPs know you, now the C-suite knows you. So like if you do go somewhere or if they make a new product or they leave somewhere, you're right there. You're a call away. Versus usually director level, VP and managers get that level access versus individual contributors.
True. Yeah, it's about getting in the right rooms. When I first started working, I think most of us kind of were disillusioned under this fact, right? I'm going to work hard and I'm going to climb the ranks and I'll be in the room I belong in. But that's not how it works. And if you're not lucky enough to have a good manager who advocates for you, you really do have to kind of find those pathways yourself. And sometimes that does mean either taking a different role or saying, hey, I don't want to be a manager. I know that about myself, but I'm going to try to put myself in positions where I can get to know the person who can get me in the room. Not in a slimy way, but just to advance.
To advance. The right room is really important. You said like good managers too. Like I've had some really good managers, but I've had some managers too as well. They're just scared of confrontation.
Yeah. So when you think about the best managers you've had in your career, what are those tenets? I'm hearing honesty as an important one for you.
Honesty, transparency, not afraid of confrontation. I think that's huge. I think, shout out to Pat. I think one of the best conversations I ever had with him, especially with sales, a lot of times, the commission structure will change, your role will change. At one point, our commission structure changed, and I was doing really well in our old one. And I was like, whoa, I don't see myself doing well in this one. And I was very vocal. We had a really good conversation that we didn't agree about anything, but it was such a good conversation, just hearing both parts. And he was like, hey, just trust me. And I trust him. And he was like, let's just see where you are. And we want you here. We value you here. Appreciate your feedback. Let's just see where it goes. And I made way more money in that new plan. So definitely shout out to him. I think that transparency and being able to challenge you too as well. I think that is good managers challenge you. You got to be an active participant in your growth, right? Because as a manager, I can't be all in for you and you don't give anything back. So you got to be an active participant in your growth or where you want to go to.
Being an active participant in your growth. I think there are so many folks who want to grow in their careers, are excited to grow in their careers, and maybe feel like they're capped by their manager. Maybe their manager is that disengaged individual, or they're not lucky enough to have someone as a mentor within the company or outside of the company to help them kind of circumnavigate the bureaucracy or whatever is going on in their organization. So do you have advice for folks who are really interested in maximizing their growth but feel a little stuck?
Yeah. Anytime I feel a little stuck, I always go back, right? And even in relationships too as well. I was like, hey, there was a reason why you pursued this organization, you pursued this individual, this partner, right? What were the highs? Really good work culture, I saw this initiative they did, or this person has a real nice smile, blah, blah, blah. I was kind of go back to that initial high stage and be like, okay, how can I get it back to that? There's a reason why you chose this organization, this job. Sometimes it is just to pay the bills, let's keep it a buck. I like X, Y, and Z in this company. How can you make that now a thing?
So for our water cooler topic today, I am curious, we've talked about some heavy things, but when you think about this way to build community at work, how do you approach finding and building community in an office place where maybe you don't feel super connected to the staff?
I think actually joining those other groups in an org, it'll help you get closer connections. At one of this company, I joined the softball league. That was probably the best thing I ever did for my career, was join the softball league. I made so many connections there that still to this day, I got really cool with finance. Or I got really cool with this person who's now a VP, at a company in California who hey, Jevic, I want you to work for me. Joining these little groups too as well, it sounds silly, but having those relationships outside of work and anything like that, you can get so much closer with people. So I would say, look at your organization. Is there an ERG group you can maybe a walk group or something like that? But joining those other groups that you can have relationships past the work stuff.
That VP, is that someone you ever would have talked to outside of a softball setting?
I would have, but not to the extent that we got to. Just hear down conversations, right? It would have never been as a genuine relationship as it is now.
Well, it's different. Even if you sent them an email, it's hey, I would love to take you to coffee. All of a sudden, that's I'm formal Jevic, taking you to coffee for a reason.
Exactly. Versus when we did softball, I was hey, bro, nothing at work gets done, and then after it's just email me Monday and I'll get it done for you. And that's why I go to so many networking events too as well. Maybe look outside your organization, right? So look in your organization for different clubs, and then if they need help, hit me up. I can guarantee I can find a text mixer or networking reception. Yeah. That'll be free, and you'll meet some good people that would open up some other doors for you.
Yeah. Well, there's so much just social emotional benefit, even career progression aside, right? Just being with folks who are either like-minded or interested in something you're interested in, even if they're totally different people, but they care about this really niche, nerdy thing you care about in tech, it can make such a difference in your mental health. I mean, there's so many stats. I'm going to read this so I get it right. The American Psychological Association ran a study last year that found that workers who feel a sense of psychological safety are 25% more likely to report a sense of belonging than those who feel psychologically unsafe. And that sense of belonging is really what helps people not feel burnt out, have that like toxic workplace environment. Because even if you work someplace that is just horrible, if you have a community there, you can ride it out, right? You can find good. You can go back to that beginning time when you were like still enamored with the relationship with the company and say, oh, okay, I joined because the people were so wonderful. The company still might be horrible, but if you can prevent folks from feeling really burnt out and demotivated by getting them involved in these communities, there's actually benefit to you as a manager as well.
Absolutely. And I love that stat. And everyone always says like work-life balance, and especially in sales, like there really isn't that balance. It is not a 9-to-5 job. Like, yes, on paper it's 9 to 5. A client calls me at 7 o'clock, I'm picking up the phone. It's Saturday afternoon, I'm picking up the phone. So it really isn't a 9-to-5 job. But however, like if you do really good and you hit your quota, it's like, all right, I'm gonna take 2 weeks off.
That's true. And that used to drive us nuts as marketers, because we would come to find y'all and you would not be at your desks. And we'd be like, excuse me, where is so-and-so? And you go, oh, they're in Thailand.
They're in Thailand. They're taking an executive lunch. I've won that award before.
Oh, the executive lunch. I forgot about those. Y'all would invite us to go out to lunch and we'd be like, okay, we'll be gone in for 45 minutes. We'd be gone for 2 hours. Come back very nervous because the rest of our team was looking at us like, where were you?
I love a good executive lunch.
I mean, they exist for a reason, right?
They do exist for a reason. But at the end of the day, it's people helping people. Like, we're people. Yeah. I don't think I unlocked a new step in my personal growth and progression to, number one, confidence. And number two, I've recently worked for Black-owned organizations. And it's just different because, like, my whole career, I've always been the minority, right? So now working for these organizations that like, I'm not the minority. It's very different. I talk like me now. I've never heard the word dope used so many times in a corporate setting. And then I didn't realize how much I was thinking before I could actually work. I was like, how am I dressed? How am I doing this? All the emotional stuff before actually doing the job.
Yeah.
Versus,
everything's filtered.
Everything filtered.
My husband works in finance and I was picking him up. I went to go meet him. I walked in the room. I was the only woman in the room. And I didn't realize, because I generally don't feel strange about that, but I just had this moment where I was coming down the stairs and everyone stared at me. And I went, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
Ugh. And it's really weird to be the only one or in the minority in the room. It makes such a difference in your comfort and the way you approach conversations, the confidence with which you bring to a meeting or a pitch.
It's huge because now you're thinking like, hey, how am I dressed weird? Like, what am I saying? Like, so much other things besides actually meeting the person or your actual job is going in your head now.
Yes, that is wild.
So I always encourage people too as well. So like, look for organizations too. You can just really be you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say it, but you'll know it, and it's weird, but you'll just know. Be you.
It makes a difference. I mean, when I worked at Wistia, it was so different than anywhere I've ever worked. And it still is such a unique place to work in that they really valued their employees' mental health and well-being and belonging and sense of community. And you could tell because it showed up in everything about the way they conducted themselves, right? So whether it is, kind of the intangible things you're looking for, whether it's surrounding yourself with folks who look more like you and speak more like you, or folks who have the same educational background as you, or the same motivations, it makes a difference when you have that sense of belonging and sense of community within your workplace.
Absolutely. And I've been at organizations that have been women-led too as well, and that's been like really different in a good way, right? So I haven't realized that like how different it could be like that.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk through all this and sharing your perspective. I think you have such a great one because you've been, both that manager and that direct report, but it seems like you've maintained that really grounded perspective throughout it all. So even when you're leading teams, even when you're networking or trying to close business, you still have that people first, relationship centric mentality, which makes such a difference.
Appreciate for having me on. This is super dope.
Yeah. Thanks, Jevic. I appreciate the time, and I'll talk to you later.